Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Microsoft Surface Laptop Studio. Now the name says it all. This is a brand new offering from Microsoft. The one I'm unboxing today is priced at a little over 2,000 US dollars. It actually starts at 1,600 and tops out over 3 grand. It unfortunately is replacing the Surface Book, one of my favorite products that Microsoft ever made, but hopefully this does the Surface Book justice. So essentially they went in the direction, they being Microsoft, of the Surface Studio, as I've noted with the name of the product. And in doing so, for those of you unfamiliar with the Surface Studio desktop that actually folds down for writing on it, this essentially is going to accomplish the exact same thing, which I think is smart. They're not the first manufacturer to go this route, so that's something that you should all be aware of, and this is exactly how it comes packaged if you purchase it. I will include a link in the description for those of you who are interested in picking one up, because today is launch day. And, I'm excited about this thing for a multitude of reasons, because not only is it a new product from Microsoft, and they do make really nice hardware, granted, really overpriced hardware. They're not the only one. Apple knows I'm talking about them. And this device could potentially be a game changer. Now, they're not the first, as I mentioned, to design something like this. And what I really see when I look at this is essentially a keyboard with a Surface Pro 8 kind of just, attached there. And there's the hinge that we have right here. And it gives you all the flexibility of a Surface Pro, but then the ability to have a legitimate laptop as well, which I think is smart. And again, other manufacturers have tried similar things, but I anticipate this will be the best execution. This specific model, again, I think in terms of pricing is really the sweet spot. We've got a Core i7 11th gen Intel processor, 16 gigs of RAM, a 0.5 terabyte SSD, and Nvidia's RTX 3050 Ti. Now, that is not a game-changing GPU, but in a 14.4-inch Ultrabook like this, it still makes it essentially the most powerful product that Microsoft has ever made in terms of laptop offerings. And you can really go to town on this if you want 32 gigs of RAM. You can bump it up. Of course, pen input is a go on this. But, the base price at $1,600, you're getting Iris Xe graphics. I don't recommend going with that unless you're just in love with the design here, which you may very well be. And I wouldn't blame you because this is pretty cool. It's not going to be a game changer for everyone, but for a lot of users, I think this is going to be what they've been waiting for, and maybe they didn't know they were waiting for it. At least that's what Microsoft is betting, no question. And the 14.4-inch display is a 120 hertz Pixel Sense display. Now remember, Pixel Sense is IPS, in-plane switching. Nothing really new about that. But what I will tell you already, this is a really nice device. It is substantial in terms of build quality, but I expected that, as with every Microsoft product that essentially has ever been made. And it does also have a place to store the pen. I'll get to the rest of the contents in the box in a second. Let's just take a look at this. So, left side, we've got 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a very big point of order on all of the new Surface Pro products, this and the Pro 8, because none of them had Thunderbolt connectivity until now. This is the one port to rule it all, whether you want to hook up external hard drives, peripherals, dock it, connected to monitors, everything travels through the Thunderbolt port. So, I like that as a Thunderbolt user. You can see the front of the machine there. Very industrial design. I dig it. And then, of course, we have headphone microphone combo jack and their proprietary port for charging, because this does come with their old school, and I'm calling it old school because that's what it is at this point. And that's probably one of the few things that Microsoft could consider redoing, but they spent a lot of money on it, and so I guess they're trying to avoid biting that bullet. But let's go ahead and open this thing up because it is very cool. There you've got the keyboard. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. We're going to find out, and that's because it is so pushed back in order to make room for the function that everybody's waiting for, which is its ability to fold forward. So it just snaps. You're going to want to just go to the top of the machine like this. You see I'm on camera there, and then you can bring it into a multitude of positions. So if you want to have it in full-blown tablet mode, you can rest it down like that. If you want to write on the display, this is going to be the most ideal position. If you want to consume content, you can have it in this position. And then if you want traditional laptop, go like this, back to a regular laptop. Now, do I think this is changing the game? Yes and no. I think that this is, as I've mentioned through the course of this video, something that's been proposed in the past, but execution has always been the limiting factor. This hopefully is a step in the right direction. It's going to be interesting to see what battery life is like. It's going to be interesting to see what $2,100, because that's the price of this build, gets you. We've got a 1080p webcam with Windows Hello. Hopefully good speakers. The trackpad and overall build quality is excellent. That much I can tell you. But again, I expected that. The keyboard, good travel on this. It's pretty much uniform across what you would expect from a Surface laptop. But, I will admit, again, I'm going to miss the Surface Book. What I was hoping Microsoft would do with this sort of product was really give us a Surface Pro 8 attached, like they did here, with a larger display. Okay, that checked those boxes, but make it detachable. So stick with the Surface Book concept, but give us the ability, essentially, really all they had to do was the new Surface Pro 8 has a type cover, but then it also has a GPU cover that extends battery and gives you, of course, an Nvidia RTX, whatever they so choose. The 3050 Ti, again, not a processing beast, but certainly miles better than just having Iris Xe graphics on board, which are the best integrated graphics that Intel's ever put forward. But of course, still having a dedicated GPU, something discrete, is a different story. But I think a lot of people are going to like this. Again, build quality seems really good. The pen input is a selling point, and it's just about those positions. I'm curious how well this is going to hold up. Before you get to this position, which it magnetically snaps into, it seems a little janky, I have to say, a little bit cockamamie, because it does kind of just flop around there. But once it locks in, it seems pretty nice. And again, content consumption, or if you're going to stick to touchscreen and just using the touchpad, which by the way is silky smooth, this glass trackpad is great. You have all your positions, and then if you want to write, go flat. It doesn't really stop here. It kind of does. It does stop here, so you can. There are really more than 3 positions, it feels like. So this is the 4th position, and I was wondering how well it would stick there. It transitions nicely, but I wonder, again, had they just made a Surface Pro 8 that could detach, I feel like that would service many more needs than what they ended up doing here. But it's not a bad thing. Again, it's a nice machine. It is heavy, I will say that. It is not a lightweight, so don't for a minute think that it is. Nothing is user upgradable. Everything is sealed up there, so make sure you have the configuration that you desire. And just to bring a Surface Pro 8 again back into frame for reference, there you have it. Significant size difference, no question about it. If I was pressed to pick one, I probably would still stick with the Surface Pro, simply because even though I really like what this represents, the price, if you thought the Surface Pro lineup was expensive, step into the Surface Laptop Studio. And again, having a much more powerful processor here is important. This is the H series, so we're not dealing with the Ultrabook chipset, which that's probably the most important thing about the Surface Laptop Studio. And I didn't say that, and I should have. I'm not showing it the true respect that it deserves, in spite still being incredibly overpriced. We have a real processor here. This is not an Ultrabook CPU, and that is important. Historically speaking, even with the top-of-the-line Surface products, we are always relegated to Ultrabook processors like the ones found in the Surface Pro lineup. Here, we finally have a real CPU. And some of you will wish it was an AMD chip, and I understand that. But Having that plus an RTX 3050 Ti, I don't see why someone would want to go up to the 32 gigs of RAM, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, the CPU GPU combo here is the most powerful that Microsoft's ever put together in a portable machine, but in the scope of computing, it's not that powerful, and 32 gigs of RAM is, in all likelihood, never going to be necessary. So shy away from that, in my opinion. Again, I think this is the sweet spot. You're spending a little over $2,000. If you have a student discount, that helps with all Microsoft products, for those of you unaware. But at least here, you're getting, again, a solid 11th gen processor with a dedicated 3050 Ti for, again, light gaming. It's not a gaming powerhouse. And then in addition to that, any sort of work you could be doing with Revit, AutoCAD, Adobe, we're talking about photo video editing. Yeah, it can all be done here with the Surface Pro, but this is actually going to be nice to use. It's not going to just be able to pull it off like the Surface Pro lineup, and I'll likely end up comparing these in a dedicated video. But again, just a first look at the Surface Laptop Studio, which I think is a great step in a new direction for Microsoft. Again, sad to see the Surface Book go, because I really think that could have been the future, but apparently Microsoft and all of you have decided it is not. And in terms of other things in the box, before I discard it, let's just take a look. I believe we're just going to be seeing the charger. It does not come with the pen, to my knowledge. So that is something you're going to have to purchase separately, unfortunately. And you may or may not want it. And the charging brick is the standard Microsoft magnetic. I don't know what charging time is going to be. It's 120 watt or 102 watts. It is delivering enough power, of course, to fully leverage the CPU GPU combo here, which is, of course, necessary. But it'll be interesting to see. And then in the event that you pick up the pen, I do have it here with the Core i7. The pen, the Slim Pen 2 experience should be interesting to test out on this. I mean, at least I think so, because that is part of the appeal of having all the different positions that it can move. And then also Microsoft is pitching that you can store the pen magnetically right there. So for those of you wondering, where's that pen going to go with my Surface Laptop Studio, it's going to tuck right under there, and it is a very good magnetic connection. I don't think you're going to have to worry about it even. I mean, I'm pushing it right now, and you can't, I mean, you can push it, but you see it's still staying attached, but you saw it slide back. So I think this is a pretty stable position for it. But overall, nice looking machine. Excited to share it with all of you. Again, the most powerful machine, laptop that Microsoft has ever made, and boy, does the price reflect it. But the Thunderbolt 4, of course, the true H-series CPU, and the GPU being a current 3000 series, granted it's the 3050 Ti, all under £4. Of course, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2. This is a modern laptop with all the niceties. And then whether or not this, I'm going to call it a gimmick, ends up panning out, we're going to find out. But that 2400 by 1600 res display, paired with at least now decent CPUs that are quad-core chips. They're not 8-core, but still legitimate in terms of their power draw and capability compared to what you get out of Surface Pros. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.